Hey guys, how's it going? If you've been paying attention to the philosophy series of videos, this should be about the third one. And here, this is going to be a multi-part video, but in this video, we're talking about maintenance and maintenance of guns and equipment as it pertains to fighting and training like the rest of the videos. So we're going to focus on guns, mags, and ammo in this particular part. So we're talking about maintaining your gun, all right? First and foremost, they got to be clean, they got to be lubricated. Cleaning doesn't mean wiping down every square inch of the gun, especially when we're talking about these polymer frame guns. The polymer isn't going to rust, right? It's not going to corrode. You got to maintain all of this as a whole, but it's not like you got to scrub it all down. What you should do is take a rag, some oil, and I do mean 10W30, 5W30 motor oil, because that works just fine on firearms. I know people are cringing. You'll be okay. So you want to take some oil, and you want to lubricate your gun. You want to wipe down all the gunk out of the system. You don't necessarily want to swab it spotless for a showroom, but you want to keep it free of debris so you know it's going to function properly when you need it. Also, you want to watch out for the internal components, okay? Springs, extractor springs, various components inside the gun that would wear out. You want to keep an eye on those. Recoil springs is an example. You want to maintain those. If you shot a lot and your gun's acting funny, or because you're tracking how many rounds you're firing, that you shot X number of rounds, replace that. It's a cheap part that doesn't cost a lot of money, a lot of time even to maintain. So take care of that before it bites you in the ass later. Also, talking about your sights. If you've had a problem before or just want to avoid the problem, take some paint markers and mark the sights, or they dovetail into the gun, on the gun. So that way, if your gun takes a spill and the sights shift, you can see that shift in the sights. You know that it's no longer zeroed, and you can re-zero it quickly, or you just know when it may be an issue. Going off that, not all guns have really good finishes on them. So some guns will need a regularly applied film of oil to keep them from rusting and corroding. That's going to be dependent upon where you live, the weather, humidity, how much you sweat, how you carry, a lot of factors. But it is something to watch out for. Something else, if you train a lot or shoot a lot, you will know that barrels do wear out. They have a shelf life. If you shoot them enough, they're going to go out and you got to replace them. Not that big a deal on a pistol, bigger deal on a rifle. Still not a big deal, something to watch out for. We start seeing battleships on your target, like sideways bullets poking through, looking like battleships. You know it's time to replace that barrel because you're keyholing is what that's called. Beyond that, I think that's all we need to talk about for your firearm. Let's look at magazines. We're talking about magazines. There's two types of magazines. You have fighting magazines and you have training magazines. That goes for pistols and rifles, doesn't matter. Some mags you want to have that are fresh, virtually brand new, though you shot them to confirm function, so you know they're going to work, but then you dedicate those mags solely to being carried and used for your fighting scenario, whatever that would be for you, whatever your lot in life is. That's a big deal because springs do wear out. Talking about that, things to look out for on a magazine. The springs, it's another moving component. They do go bad for a while. The amount of times it compresses and decompresses will determine the shelf life. Not necessarily how long it's been compressed, but the number of times, the reps, as it were, this has been used. Feed lips and followers, they can get chewed up, they can get bent, they can get busted. Whatever the case is, they can get worn, right? Everything can be worn or broken. So keep an eye on those as well. And the same thing with your base plates, right? You want to make sure your base plates are holding solid and they're not looking sketchy and getting kind of loose, because then your mag takes a spill as it hits the ground. That thing goes flying, your guts spill out, and then you have a magazine that's not working, and hopefully it's at a class and not real life, because that's where you want that to happen. Example real quick, if you can see, you can tell this mag is relatively new. I haven't really used it a whole lot. An example of a fighting mag. This mag is a used mag that I've used for over 2 years now. And it's got the tape on it. I remember I put it on there 2 years ago. That's how I know that. But you can look at it and see the finish and the wear and some of the nicks and scratches and spots that it has this mag doesn't have. So just an example of that right there. So training mags and fighting mags are a thing. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about ammo. Talking about your carry guns, or your fighting rifles, or what have you. You have your hollow points or equivalents thereof in your rifles for your defensive or fighting rounds versus your training ammo. Those are different. You want to keep your defensive rounds in your gun fresh. So depending on where you live, how much you sweat, how often you carry, how you carry, a bunch of factors. I'm going to roughly say every 3-6 months or so, it's probably a good idea to shoot those and replace those with new bullets. That's depending on a lot of things, including your budget. We all get it. However, keep an eye on your ammo, right? Because you can't really see if moisture's in the bullet per se, but you can see things like primers being out of whack or being loose or falling out or is outright gone. You can see bullet setback. You can see if the bullet has been pushed back into the casing further than it should be, which happens if you load the same round a bunch of times because they're not designed to be loaded repetitively and then shot. You load and shoot in theory. So keep an eye on that, especially if you do a lot of dry fire practice. That can happen. Alternately, if the bullet just looks wrong, if it looks marred, if it looks dented, if it looks like there's something wrong with it, there's no sense in using it. Just get rid of it and don't test the waters on that because a blown up gun's not worth the time it takes to get the gun and the money to replace it, especially if it's a fighting gun, right? Talking about your training ammo for your classes or just your ammo in general. If you're at a class, it's probably going to rain. It's been my experience. But the weather might not be ideal regardless, and you want to keep your ammo dry. So I had a can like this at class once before, and I left it open a little bit. So even though it was in a can that seals, it wasn't sealed because I didn't close the lid. And what happened there is the lid was open, so all the rain got in there, but had enough rounds in there to cover up the water, so I couldn't see it. It sat in there for months before I realized what that was. If I had taken the rounds home and put them on a towel, rolled them dry, let them sit, they would have probably been fine, especially for training rounds, because a training round doesn't go off. Not a big deal. However, that's what these are meant to do, is to keep your ammo dry at a class or anywhere else you put it. So don't be lazy about that. That could be a waste of money too. You put 500 or 1,000 rounds in this, let it get wet and soaked, and all that ammo and money is gone. That's kind of shitty. On top of all of that, your general ammo you have on storage before classes, just for general range days, keep that stored room temperature, nice controlled climate to the best of your ability. If it's sealed out of the elements, it'll probably be fine. But best practice is to keep it nice and clean, nice and controlled in terms of the environment. That was a very quick rundown of mags, bullets, and ammo. Mags, gun, and bullet. And that was the first part of this maintenance series. So we're going to end it here and pick it back up on the next part. Appreciate you all watching. Take care, stay safe, and as always, sharpen your skills.